What's up, you guys? Time is back. Another video. Show you guys how I like to cook my steak, what kind of meat I like to choose when I'm cooking my steak. Obviously, every piece of red meat is delicious in my opinion, but there is a cut that I specifically look for every time I go to the supermarket, to a butcher. It doesn't matter. This cut it's the true definition of beef. You get that nice meaty flavor, that fatty flavor that everyone likes. Now everyone's probably thinking, hey, he's gonna go with the ribeye, but actually it's kind of like the poor man's ribeye, okay? Now don't get this mistaken for chuck roast, okay? Honestly, I have no idea what the hell the difference is, but just don't buy a chuck roast, because a chuck roast is super thick and you're probably gonna just use that for a pot roast. This is called a chuck eye steak. Now this one was quite huge. If you can see, that's almost about an inch, maybe an inch and a half thick. Okay, chuck eye. Okay, if you guys like that beefy flavor, that ribeye style steak, maybe you don't have ribeye money, grab this. It's the next best thing in my opinion. Sick for, like, you know, if you can get a hanger steak, that's good as well. But definitely check this out. If your local grocer has it, check these out, okay? Now, most of the times you'll see them in a package, and it's like usually 2 of them in a package. This one kind of looks like 1. I'm not sure if it's going to be 1, but let's see. So, hang on there with me, all right? Okay. So, here we go. Let's cut this bad boy open. And it is 2 pieces, so it did look like 1 big piece, but however it is 2 pieces, if you can see that, okay? Boom. But again, these things are thick. Let me show you guys real quick. Now what I like to do, you guys all should know this step by now, is whenever you're cooking this meat, you're going to pat dry it, okay? Pat it dry, both sides. You get them tongs ready. And a lot of times I like to just pat it dry while it's still in this little container thing. Okay, so here we go. Pat it dry on this side as well. Now, as you guys can see, you guys probably think you see a lined baking pan with foil on it. Yes, I'm going to be doing a reverse sear, which is pretty much cooking it about 3/4 of the way in the oven, and then all we got to do is do a nice pan sear at the end. So this is what we're going to do though. See, so what I like to do is, what I'll do is season it over this while it's in this container still, and whatever seasoning gets on the foil, I can kind of just mop it up with the steak. So here we go. What I do like to do is give my meat a nice little rubbing of oil, and when you are giving your steak a nice little drizzle of oil, it doesn't have to be expensive oil, okay? It could be just canola oil, vegetable oil. You don't really need the most expensive stuff unless you're trying to be fancy and prancy, whatever the hell that means. But as you can see, they got oil, and they do got oil that kind of spilled over. And me personally, sometimes I don't really like, I don't know why, I have a weird thing about touching raw meat. Hate touching it, but so when most people like to pound their seasoning into the meat, I just use the back of a tongue to do that. As you can see, there's a nice little glistening on that meat. Now, one thing about pre-made seasonings, like a Montreal steak seasoning or anything else, is yes, they have salt in it, but a lot of times the salt is kind of the underlying factor of those seasonings. So what I like to do, I'll even use a pre-made seasoning, but I do still like to give my steaks a little bit of salt anyways, just because, like I said, with those other seasonings, they're putting so many other flavors in there that you kind of don't really get the salt that much. So as you can see, I'm using some kosher salt. And for this one, I'm going to use this buttery steakhouse stuff. Don't know where the hell I got it, but hey, it's here. Okay. So with this, just go right on top. Get a nice little bunch of that seasoning on there. As you can see, some of that seasoning is getting onto the foil. So we will be able to mop that up in a little bit. And you guys already know, you gotta have that pepper in there. Now there is pepper in here, but it's not that as much as I'd like. Man, definitely go check out TJ Maxx, man. They always got these little grinders, man. They're usually like $3, so can't beat that. Now again, all we're gonna do is kind of pat that seasoning into the steak. Flip her over. Then we gotta do the same thing. Now, really, steak still has a little moisture on it from the oil from in the packaging still, so you don't need to really oil this side again. So right here, and as you can see, it's just like a ribeye. All that fat in there. Got these little fat pieces, which are so damn good. So here we go. We'll do a nice little seasoning on the other side again with some salt. Again, on this part, you don't have to go heavy with the salt, because once you put that other seasoning on, there'll be a little bit more salt in there as well. But then I got a nice little tip and trick for you at the end. So we got that. Here's our buttery steak house seasoning. Go on top as well. Man, this stuff actually smells like some damn butter too. It smells like buttered popcorn. Again, all we gotta do is pat that meat. Okay. Now what we can do, so we got some of that stuff on here. Try to get the edges too. Edges need that love as well. As you can see, there's not that much on here, so we will make sure we season those edges. Now you can get rid of that little packaging. Now we can go on the sides with the stuff. This side I really don't care about the salt and stuff like that. As long as it's got this seasoning on it, we should be good. Flip them over. Keep them tongs there. Sometimes it kind of helps keep those steaks upright. Trust me, I will clean that finger. I know you guys seen that. Go with the left hand. So there we go. Steaks are fully seasoned. And now, since you've got that foil on here, you can just take these steaks right here and lay them on that baking rack, okay? Man, you guys definitely get a baking rack there. Definitely worth it. Kind of gives even distribution of heat on both sides of the steak. And man, these things are awesome for bacon. So if you guys like bacon, definitely get that as well. So as you can see, there it is. They're going to give you heat underneath. And now all we're going to do, get yourself one of these handy thermometers, guys. These are awesome. Get this to about, what you're going to want about, depends on how you like your steak. Me personally, I am a medium guy. I will eat medium rare as well. However, there's just something about when you cut into that steak and it's super red that kind of, I know it's cooked all the way through pretty much, but there's just something about that color that kind of, it's not that it, like, you know, I'm scared of getting sick or anything. It's just a visual that when it's that red, it just kind of, but hey, to each his own. I like medium. I like that little slight pink. But here we go. Take this thermometer. Find yourself a thick piece of that meat right here. Try to go in as deep as you can. Okay. And then with this, we're going to go to about 118 to 123, okay? Because all we need is like a 1.5 minute sear on each side once these come out, okay? So I'm going to do about 118. So that should get it to about the point where it's almost medium rare, and then all I got to do is do a nice quick little sear on both sides to get that medium effect. But here we go. Turn this bad boy on. And right now, the good thing about this method is that with this way, when you're doing the reverse here, you don't have to let the meat sit for like an hour or something. Like, you know, a lot of times they have you rest the meat for about 30 minutes to get up to room temperature. However, since you're cooking it and getting it up to that temperature anyways in the oven. You don't need to pull them out 20 minutes in advance. You can just get these right away. Now frozen, you might want to let them thaw out a little bit, whatever, but in this state right here, right from the store, go right on ahead. And this one you're going to put in a 250-degree oven. And honestly, so that steak is in the oven right now. I'll be back as soon as it gets to that 118 mark that I said. So again, 118 is probably pushing right there at about medium rare. It's probably getting close to that medium rare level. Then once we pull it out, just do a quick minute and a half sear on both sides. Try to get those edges as well. And then we'll see what it looks like at the end. All right, so be back. As you guys can see, I just pulled out these steaks, okay? As you can see, the look of these steaks has drastically changed, okay? And it's much looser. Like, look at the way that meat is. It's kind of like, it's really loose. It's not like all tight. So that's kind of what bringing the steak out 10 minutes, 20 minutes early does too. It kind of gives that meat a chance to relax. Now if you look at it, it's pretty much relaxed because now it's warm. And now what we're going to do, take a pan. I got this on about medium to high heat. Gonna put a little bit of oil, not too much. Make sure that whole thing is. Now you're gonna want to make sure your fan is on. Again, all we need is a quick minute to a minute and a half sear on both steaks, okay? And you guys all know, if you don't hear that, you don't put it in. Make sure you move that oil around, get that oil all over the place. Put that on each side for about a minute and a half. Again, don't worry about the steak, let it rest. Do its thing. A little bit of zucchini about to go in the oven, 350 for about 15 minutes. Sometimes too, what you want to do is kind of pat your steak down, make sure every single surface is getting a chance to touch that pan. Get ready to flip, about a minute. Steaks have some nice color, bro. Again, press down, make sure that steak is getting all over the pan, okay? Again, now this meat should be coming up on to about 125 to about 130. Actually, these are probably going to be most likely medium rare, somewhere around there. What you can even do, make sure you keep the steak moist, use some of that fat. And now with this spoon, use some of that fat. All we're going to do now, finish off with some butter. Good amount of butter in there. Boom. A little bit of garlic now, because I'm going with minced garlic. I don't have no fresh garlic on hand, so you're going to have to do this fast because that garlic will burn, especially if you fry it. Got this little bath going. Remember, make sure you get every crook and cranny of that steak. If you try to get some more of that fat, and that fat is so damn good, you guys. Sometimes I like to do one more little turn on this side just so I can get a little bit of butter on this side. As you can see, the steak is falling apart. Again, this is like the poor man's ribeye. If you don't have ribeye money, you grab this next, especially if you like that fat. And the same thing on this side. Boom. Pull it out. And remember, never throw that juice out. It kind of actually gives it one last final cook too, because the butter and stuff is so hot. It's going to penetrate that steak. And there you guys have it. Now I will give you guys the video when I cut into it just to show you the final product, but if you can see, look at the way that steak looks. Again, this is a great cut of beef, you guys. You gotta check out Chuck Eye Steak. This stuff is awesome. Be right back. Hey, let's take a look at this steak now. Let's take a look, see if it's cooked perfectly. Got our knife here. And again, with these pieces, there's so much fat on here. Take a look at that fat. Those bites are so damn good when you get a piece of meat with that fat. So darn good, you guys. So let's take a... Take a look at that. Perfectly, really some medium rare action. Telling you guys, those pieces with that fat. Take a look at that. And then I think Salt Bay, what he does is there's a nice little salt on top. Me, going with Parmesan on top. Gonna get that salt and that cheese. Boom. There you guys go. Let me take a bite just so you guys know that this stuff is good. Ooh. Try that out.